It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
I'm Molly Gibson Kirby, and this is City Beat for May 15th. Today, Deputy Mayor Dennis Fenske is in the studio to get everyone up to date on what's going on in Thompson. If you have questions, call 677-8181 or email questions to chtm@arcticradio.ca. To begin, what has been happening this past week, Dennis?
Hi, Molly. There's been a lot going on. This is going into the spring with the weather change and everything. So to start off with, just a reminder that Mayor Johnson proclaimed the month of May as MS Awareness Month, and there's a MS Walk on May 25th. They're still looking for volunteers, and you can see them on Facebook at MS Walk Thompson 214. And with the weather change and all of the snow and everything hopefully gone, we're now into street cleaning and the spring cleanup. We've got boulevard sweeping is happening. The street machines are out, so from a safety perspective, be aware of that. There's dust that will be caused by that, so be aware of the big machinery that's around there, and also be aware of the potholes that are still out there. Our crews are working on it, so make sure you're aware of your surroundings. In regards to the cleanup project itself, it happens on May 24th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. May 23rd is the business challenge. The compost site is open for drop-offs for glass clippings and leaves, and also the $3 per bag offer is open as well. Month of May, Monday, May 12th to June 9th, so make sure you get your bags and help clean up the city. Moving on from that, we've got anybody that caught council last Monday, we had the discussion on water bills, and just a reminder that the water bills for the first quarter are out now. The deadline for submission of payment for those bills is May 31st. In other news, the Northern Druid Art Show kicks off this evening at 7 o'clock with opening ceremonies. It's at the TRCC and the Bill Kamowski Wellness Center, so make sure you drop down to that. That's on all weekend. And next weekend, big event on Friday, the grand unveiling of UCN, Thompson University College of the North. Huge event and long time coming, but it starts with a pipe ceremony at 10 a.m., followed by the grand opening at 1 p.m., open house to the general public from 7 to 9 that evening, and then followed by fireworks at 10 o'clock. So make sure you come down to the TRCC and UCN, take a walk through both facilities. It's phenomenal and one that we should be very proud of. And following into that weekend, the Tyler Shaw concert is on May 31st at the TRCC. And back to a safety advisory, Manitoba Hydro has advised anybody that's been driving north over the bridge, you'll notice, or to Popeyes or that area, you'll notice that the river is a little high. We will have experiencing high water levels over the next few weeks. It will rise from 1 to 3 feet. And so just be cautious when you're in and around that area, that the water is fast moving, it's cold, and it's extremely dangerous. So be aware of your surroundings.
Perfect. Busy. A lot of things took place in this week's City Council meeting. First off, the statistics for the cold weather policy were discussed. Nearly 700 individuals had the chance to have a warm sleep during the winter when the shelter was full. How can the city help eliminate the need for this policy altogether?
Well, other than being able to control the weather, I don't know that we will be able to eliminate that. We have, through our partners, developed a policy in place in regards to when the temperature hits a certain degrees, and the shelter is full, then we make available to the partners the outdoor rinks for accommodations. And by no means is it a hotel. It's basically an outdoor rink with some benches and cots and some blankets. It's just a enclosed facility with heat and lights to get out of the cold weather. We had a really good partnership going this winter, and I think it was one that was a long time coming, and one that was well needed. We had no fatalities this past winter, and this happened to be one of the worst winters we've had in many, many years, so that's a good thing. Looking at the need, I think that need will be there for the long term. We have a certain number of people in our community that are disenfranchised or just basically down and out, that we need to assist so that they can deal with their issues. And one of the ways that we can assist is by keeping them warm for the evening, so that they can continue on their day-to-day activities.
The city approved that A&B Builders Limited will be installing a new door at the TRCC for the fitness center. The budget for that was $18,900. Why would a door cost so much?
Basically, it's not just the door; it's the framing and the electronics that go with us. This is in the upstairs area of the TRCC in the Bill Kamaski Fitness Center, and basically with the agreement that we've signed with Brentwood Regional Health or Northern Regional Health Authority, we have about $165,000 worth of equipment up there that will be available to the public. But at the same time, we need to maintain a secure facility, and the door that opens, or the stairwell that opens into the Bill Kamaski Fitness Center was uncontrolled. So we have to control that area. And so the door needs to be put in that has an electronic pass to it. And so the door itself didn't cost $19,500, but the whole process of putting in the framing work and the electrical that has to go with that, that's the budget. So it's just basically a security measure to ensure that the safety of patrons using it, and also for the equipment that's within the facility itself.
Okay. A lot of talk has been happening on online forums about having the speed limits change in the school zones. The speed limits are now 30 kilometers an hour, 24 hours a day. What's the reason behind the 24-hour speed limit?
Basically, just one correction. The speed limits now in the city are 50 kilometers unless otherwise posted, and the only other place that they're posted higher than that is the 70 kilometer stretch on Mystery Lake Road. With the passing of the bylaw, we will be able to enforce once the signage is in place. So no changes to the current speed limit of 50 around the community. But basically, the Public Safety Committee reviewed this with the School District of Mystery Lake, with the RCMP as well, and in talking about where and how and the time factor of putting in the speed limit and the speed zones. And it was a consensus of the group that there are a number of children who use the facilities after hours and on weekends. We're a very active community, so the schools and playgrounds and soccer fields, etc., are used, especially in the summertime, for soccer, as an example. Burnwood School, I'll use it as an example, is very high traffic area in the off hours of normal school hours. So at the end of the day, the discussion was that the speed limit should be enforced 24/7, 365 days a year at 30 kilometers. So basically that's the premise of why we went the way we did. And there will be an education process to the general public over the next couple months, making people aware of where the zones will be. That'll continue on throughout the summer, and so that everybody should be well aware of what the speed zones are, what the speed limits are, where the signage is when the kids are returning to school in September.
When will the signs be up?
We are looking to install them over the next 6 weeks, I believe. So they'll be in place sometime in early July. There will be an awareness campaign similar to where you see a new stop sign at a four-way stop. They usually flag it or sign it that this is a new stop sign. We'll also be making people aware that these are new signs going up. We also have a digital sign that posts your speed, and we'll be moving that around the community. You may have noticed it in front of the high school last week. We'll be moving it around to the different schools and the specific school zone areas to give drivers an idea of what their speed actually is. I know when I drove past the high school at 50, and then I slowed down to 30, I was surprised at how slow that actually is through that area. So people will have to make the adjustment, but it's in the efforts of making it safe for the kids to cross and play.
I know in previous summers the Prairie law enforcement has been in Thompson to help out with our bylaws. Will that be happening this summer?
Prairie bylaw was in place 2 years ago. Last year we hired our own bylaw enforcement officers. That will be happening again this year. We've hired, or in the process of hiring, 4 bylaw enforcement officers. Through the Justice Department and the legislation that was passed changing certain legislation in regards to bylaw enforcement, we are now a pilot project for community safety officers. And so as we work through that and getting the mechanism in place to have community safety officers, we'll be continuing with the same program that we ran last year in regards to 4 bylaw enforcement officers on the streets. We'll be working in partnerships with our partners, the RCMP, TNRC, and the Liquor Commission in regards to the Ambassador Program and additional RCMP officers and presence in the downtown area. to enforce our current bylaws. And so that program will probably kick off by the end of May, and it'll run through until the end of October, usually just before the snow comes. By that time, we hope to have the CSO, Community Safety Officer program, completely identified and the wrinkles worked out with the province as to how we implement and what the process is for training and that moving forward, so that we would have our own community safety officers in place for 2015.
All right, perfect. Dennis, we're actually running out of time, so I'll give you some time to say your final words to the listeners.
Basically, just a reminder from a safety perspective. Again, we've had a lot of water breaks. We've had a lot of potholes. We have a lot of sand on the streets, and in that, there's a lot of sand on the boulevards. We've asked people that if they are cleaning their own lawns to, at this point, push it onto the streets close to the curb. Please don't block the drains, but our street sweepers will be around to pick it up. And we'll all work together to cleaning our community. It usually happens fairly fast, and this community goes from winter to summer fairly quickly. So we're looking for all the residents to pitch in and help clean our community so that the visitors will be impressed when they get here.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of City Beat. Join us again next Thursday for more questions and answers with the mayor. For 1029 CHTM, I'm Molly Gibson Kirby.
City